In the heart of the Igbo land, beneath the sprawling canopies of thick green trees, a small village called Umuokpala stood proudly. It was a place where traditions were not just stories passed down, but lived with each day. There, amidst the vibrant sounds of the bustling market and the rhythmic dances of the women, two young hearts were about to embark on a journey that would transcend time itself. Chidera was a beautiful young woman, her skin as rich and smooth as the earth that nourished the crops her family grew. Her father, a respected elder in the village, was known for his wisdom and deep understanding of the ancient customs of their people. Chidera, however, had dreams that stretched beyond the confines of the small village where she was raised. She wanted to see the world, experience new things, but most of all, she longed for a love that was pure and unwavering. Ifeanyi, a young man with a quiet strength, had grown up with Chidera in the same village. His family, too, was well respected, and though his father had passed when he was just a boy, his mother had raised him with love and discipline. Ifeanyi had always been drawn to the traditions of his people, but also held an unspoken desire to carve his own path, to one day leave the village and explore beyond the hills. Though they had known each other their entire lives, their paths had never truly crossed in the way that love stories are made of. They shared greetings, exchanged smiles in the marketplace, and waved at each other during festivals, but there was always a sense of distance, a silent boundary between them. Chidera, with her dreams, and Ifeanyi, with his quiet ambitions, were just two souls living side by side. That all changed during the annual New Yam Festival, a time when the village came together to celebrate the harvest. The festival was filled with dancing, singing, and feasting, and it was the perfect time for the young people of the village to meet, laugh, and perhaps, if the gods allowed it, fall in love. On the night of the festival, Chidera stood by the massive fire at the village square, watching the dancers as they swirled in their colorful attires. Her eyes sparkled in the firelight, but there was a longing in her gaze, a deep yearning for something that she couldn't name. She wanted more than what this village could offer, more than the life she was expected to lead. She wanted to feel alive, truly alive. Ifeanyi had been watching her from across the fire. There was something different about her tonight. Her beauty seemed more radiant, her presence more magnetic. The firelight danced in her eyes, and for the first time, he saw her as something more than just the girl he had grown up with. She was a mystery, a force of nature, and he couldn't keep his eyes off her. As the music grew louder, a group of young men began to show off their dance moves, but Chidera wasn't interested in their bravado. She was lost in her thoughts, watching the fire as the embers rose into the night sky. Ifeanyi couldn't resist any longer. With a heart pounding in his chest, he walked over to her, his presence strong but gentle. "Chidera," he said, his voice low and sincere. "May I have this dance?" She turned to face him, her heart skipping a beat. This was Ifeanyi, the quiet boy she had known all her life, now standing before her like a stranger, yet there was something undeniably compelling about him. "I don't dance with strangers," she replied, a teasing smile tugging at the corner of her lips. He laughed softly, his eyes meeting hers. "I'm not a stranger, Chidera. We've known each other for years." Her smile faded, replaced by a thoughtful expression. "True," she said, stepping closer. "But I think you've been a stranger to me all this time." Ifeanyi took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "Then let tonight be the night we no longer remain strangers," he said. With that, they joined the dancers, and for the first time, they moved as one, not just two bodies swaying to the music, but two hearts beating in rhythm with the ancient drum beats of their people. The connection between them was instant, a spark that could not be ignored. Every step they took together seemed to draw them closer, like the universe itself was pulling them toward each other. As the night wore on and the festival reached its peak, they sat by the edge of the fire, away from the noise and the crowd. There, in the soft glow of the embers, Chidera found herself opening up in a way she hadn't expected. She spoke of her dreams of leaving the village, of seeing the world beyond the hills that surrounded them. She talked of her desire for a love that wasn't confined by tradition, one that could grow and change with time. "I don't want to be the daughter of the village elder forever," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want to write my own story." Ifeanyi listened, his eyes never leaving her face. "And I want to write mine, too," he said. "But sometimes, the story we think we want isn't the one that is meant for us." Chidera's heart skipped a beat at the intensity of his words. She had never thought about it that way. She had always believed that her life, her destiny, was something she could control. But Ifeanyi was right, sometimes the universe had its own plans. As the night came to an end, the village elders gathered around the fire, giving thanks for the harvest and for the blessings of the year. Ifeanyi and Chidera stood together, watching the flames as they burned brightly in the center of the village. "You've changed my life tonight," Chidera said softly, turning to Ifeanyi. "I didn't know it was possible to feel so seen." Ifeanyi smiled, his eyes warm with affection. "And you've changed mine. I never realized how much I was missing until tonight." In the days that followed, their bond deepened. They spent long hours talking, walking through the fields, and sitting by the river that ran through the village. With each passing day, they discovered new things about each other, things that neither of them had ever imagined. But Chidera's dream of leaving the village still lingered, haunting her like an unspoken truth. She knew that Ifeanyi loved her, but she also knew that he was content with his life here, with the traditions and the roles he had been born into. They were from different worlds, it seemed, and she couldn't bear to trap him in a life he didn't choose for himself. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Chidera stood by the river, staring out into the distance. She had made up her mind. She would leave. She would follow her dreams, even if it meant leaving Ifeanyi behind. She loved him, but she couldn't live in a world where she felt suffocated by expectations. Ifeanyi found her there, standing alone, her silhouette framed by the golden light of the setting sun. He knew something was wrong. He could see it in the way she held herself, the way her shoulders were tense with the weight of an unspoken decision. "You're leaving, aren't you?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. Chidera turned to face him, her heart breaking. "I have to," she whispered. "I can't stay here. I need to find myself, to see the world, to be more than just the village elder's daughter." Ifeanyi walked toward her, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he could not keep her from her destiny. "Then go," he said softly. "But know this, Chidera, I will always love you. No matter where you go, no matter what path you choose, you will always have a place in my heart." Tears welled up in Chidera's eyes as she took his hands in hers. "And you will always have a place in mine. I will never forget you." They shared one last kiss, a kiss that was full of all the things they had never said, all the love they had never fully explored. And though their paths would take them to different places, they both knew that their love was eternal, written in the stars, a love that no distance could ever erase. And so, Chidera left Umuokpala, chasing the dreams that had always burned within her. Ifeanyi stayed, carrying her memory with him as he built the life he had always wanted. And though they were apart, the bond they shared remained unbroken, a love story that would be told for generations to come, woven into the very fabric of their village's history. In the end, Chidera and Ifeanyi's love was not bound by the village or by tradition. It was a love that transcended time, space, and circumstance, forever written in the stars for all to see.